you guys, welcome back to Romance Review TV with Lady T. And I got another recap for you guys. Love Island USA Season 4, Episode 29. So we had a dumping off of a cliffhanger yesterday. We had an 80s night. We had a nasty challenge. And then we got a little bit of sneakiness going on with one of our newly found couples. So before we unpack all of this, take a second to make sure you're subscribed to the channel, and please don't forget to like and share, and please like the video. It lets YouTube know that it's good content. So as we come off of the previous episode, looked like our boy Chad was in the middle of a dilemma because he had to decide between Courtney, Phoebe, and Phoebe was coming for him real hard. And then he also had to make a decision with newly entered into the villa, Mackenzie. Now, the thing about this whole situation is that Courtney had put an ultimatum on the table saying pretty much it's either all or nothing. And he couldn't commit. They were on two different pages. And so that's where it left off. And at this point, Courtney has not been able to find anyone in this villa. So now we are in this episode where we have our recoupling. And of course, as I mentioned, the wild card is actually Joel and Chad, because these three girls are up for grabs. But let's go ahead and get started on what everybody else chose. And it wasn't no surprise. So, of course, Timmy went first, and he chose his baby Z, Miss Zeta. And these two are doing so well. They haven't had any drama since that whole thing with Bria in the beginning of the season. And then we had our boy Jesse, which he has been making a lot of strides with Deb. So, of course, he coupled up with her. And she said he did good, especially with his speech. But he's been doing good for a while now. So, we got to give props to Jesse. And he looked good in that suit yesterday, too. Then we got our boy Jeff. And no surprise, him and Naja is actually making some progress. I'm not 100% sure on Naja, but it seems like he's all in. And of course, he did show that by choosing her. Then we got our boy Isaiah, who is, of course, not coupled up with Sydney because he was originally coupled up with Phoebe, but he decided to recouple with his girl Sydney, which left Phoebe, Mackenzie, and Courtney. Now, Joel, one of the wild cards, surprisingly, I thought he was going to end up choosing Mackenzie, but he actually chose Phoebe, which left Chad. Chad had a decision to make between Courtney and Mackenzie. And I knew at this point it was a wrap. She's going home. He chose Mackenzie because pretty much Courtney was not in it. She was done. They're on two different pages. And she got that infamous text message that at this point she has been dumped from the villa. Now, I gotta say, Zeta took it really hard. Now, I know that, Sydney and Deb are the three OGs, and Zeta are the three OGs left in the villa besides Courtney. They, of course, were sad to see her go, but Zeta took it really, really hard. So, obviously, they made a really, really good friendship connection in the villa. And, they had their little talks and conversations and, gave counseling to some of the other folks. But at this point, Courtney had not made a connection. I mean, Andy, the original guy, she kicked him into the curb. He's now with Maddie, and they're doing fine outside of the villa. But at this point, I mean, she was upset. I mean, I don't know. Did you find her reaction surprising? But, at this point, I'm glad that pretty much Courtney, I think the only thing I was teary about is because Zeta was crying, which when I see other people cry, it gets me started. So now the couples are now settling in. We have, of course, Joel and Phoebe. And Phoebe is not feeling Joel. I really can't. At this point, you can tell even though he likes her, she is still stuck on Chad. Now, she did say, I'm finally glad somebody chose me. You know how the whole Isaiah thing went, and I'm just glad that I got chose. Okay. So then we have this conversation with Chad, Timmy, and Isaiah. And I think it may not yet, maybe just Chad and no, it's all three of them. And so Chad is saying how he kissed Phoebe right before the recoupling. And they was like, for real? And he was like, yeah. And I think even though, I like Mackenzie, but I have more of a connection with Phoebe. So we still have Zeta. I mean, she is still reeling over the fact that her girl Courtney is gone. But we do see Timmy giving her a lot of consolation in this. And she was happy about how he handled this situation. So she said that it really gives her a great idea that if she ever goes through something outside of the villa, he'll be there for her. So that's cool. So then, now that Isaiah knows this information about Chad and Phoebe, he decides to share the news. And with that being said, obviously Chad is like, well, I need to get this back to Mackenzie before it gets around the villa. So he took it upon himself to say, hey, you know what? I just want you to know that I actually kissed Phoebe right before the recoupling, right before you and I talked. And I wanted to be the one to tell you before it actually get around the villa. Because obviously he can tell Isaiah is spilling the beans. And Mackenzie appreciated his transparency, which I think that was pretty cool that he was able to do that with her. Because, that would be hard coming from somebody else. Now, this crazy situation happened in the beauty room because Naja and Phoebe is talking about Chad in front of Mackenzie like she's not even there. She was like, listen, I'm in the room. I want the opportunity to explore my connection with Mackenzie, and I appreciate you if you guys respect that. And I don't think they expected her to say that because she was in shock mode. Both of the girls were in shock mode when this happened. So that's what they get. She got checked. Now we're at the next day and Chad is still talking about this whole thing and his connection. He talks to Joel about how he's interested and, trying to see if he'll have the opportunity to explore this whole thing with Phoebe. Naja is over there talking and having a conversation with Phoebe about the fact that, I can guarantee you if Joel didn't pick you, Chad would have. And I honestly I agree with her on that. But at this point, Phoebe is like, you know what? I'm not giving up on the opportunity. Yeah, I'm going to be open for Joel, but I really want to explore this thing with Chad. So she had a conversation, and then that whole thing about that kiss, talking about it was a chapstick thing. Y'all kiss, just cut it out and call it a day. But these two are excited about the fact that they're both open. Unfortunately, Mackenzie, as much as she's playing it cool, she has a conversation with Chad where Chad is letting her know, hey, I still want to explore my opportunity with you, but at the same time, I want to explore with Phoebe as well. So we got this dine and dash challenge, which is absolutely disgusting. So I'm going to skip through this one and I'll do a quick montage and I'll be back to finish up. Okay, hopefully they don't do this again and we're done with these kind of challenges. But they announced their winners and Joel and Phoebe were the winners of this contest. Hopefully they got a little money or something because that was disgusting. So later on that night, they did get another text message saying that they're having an 80s party. Now, I gotta say, and a lot of you guys know that I'm a little bit older, but I was a teenager in the 80s, and yeah, this wasn't the 80s. Some of those dresses look like it was from the 1950s, especially what Deb had on. And I'm like, who were the stylists? Because this wasn't the 80s. So now Phoebe are with the girls, Deb and Sydney, letting them know it's about to go down when it comes to her trying to steal a kiss from Chad. And she's like, you know what? I don't care. I'm here to do what I need to do for me. And yeah, it's about to happen. And then I was like, okay, let's see what this is all about. So now we have a little sweet moment between Jeff and Naja. Now, here's the thing. He seems sincere. Her, I'm not 100% because he had to kind of pull a response out of her. And she asked him, are you sure you're falling for me? I'm like, okay, that's not good. But she said, okay, she's falling for him too. Then we got this other conversation going on between Joel and Mackenzie. And while they're having their conversation, we see Chad is caught off guard by Phoebe and sneak him into the beauty room. She said nothing, just sat up on that table, pulled him close, and she did what she was on her mission to do, which was to get a kiss. And not only a kiss, a passionate kiss. And I think she was trying to put something on Chad's mind. Now, they're having this, I don't know, this conversation about the fact that they enjoy talking to each other and they need to talk to each other once a day. And I'm like, maybe you just better get with him because it ain't happening with Chad. She walks into the beauty room. Phoebe and Chad walks out of the beauty room like nothing ever happened. And she was like, oh, hi, and walked in and sat down. Now, I know she got to be thinking that something happened. But, yeah, at this point, Mackenzie, I think you need to move on, explore this whole thing with Joel, and let Phoebe and Chad figure it out. And maybe they'll probably just get dumped from the island. But we'll have to wait and see. Okay, so there you have it, your recap for Love Island USA Season 4, Episode 29. Let me know what you think about this episode. Do you think that, Mackenzie should be with Joel and maybe Chad should be with Phoebe? And do you think that whatever the attention that Jeff is giving Naja, is it as reciprocated as as what he's given to her? And whether she's all in or she's still on the fence. I actually think she's on the fence. So I hope Jeff don't get his heart broken, but we'll have to wait and see. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Like, comment, and subscribe, and we will see you in the next one. Bye.